Hello, my name's Debbie and I'm going to be doing a project from the Printable Crafts shop for Crafting for Good, and I'm going to be doing a notes holder. So this is where you can put your business cards in, your crafting cards in, anything else that you want to use to hold any sort of business card size or even ATCs. There are two options to do. You can either have one which is landscape or a portrait one. I've picked the Hummingbird Dreams paper because I just find that very pretty. So that one is going to be a landscape with the long slot holders, or alternatively you could do the portrait one with the shorter slices and then it will fold up the same way. To make them both is identical. You do exactly the same thing for both of them, regardless of whether you choose the portrait option or the landscape option. So you need to print two things from the Printable Craft shop for Crafting for Good. So when you go into their sticky notes holder, it's called, it comes, you can either have the sticky notes holder or you can have the card holders. They're all under the same header and there's a variety to choose from. So you need to print the sticky notes holder, so the post-it notes holder or card holder. I've chosen option 2, and you also need to print the card holder slot covers. So this is what covers the inside, so your cards will slide in but not slide out of the bottom. So, and what you need to do is cut both of those out, which I'll do now. So using my trimmer, even though I'm cutting A4, I tend to use the A5 trimmer just because once I cut the top and tail off this, it then fits perfectly sideways, and all I'm going to do is cut down where indicated on here. Now these straight lines are score lines, so that is where you will score. I'm going to cut the corners out, and I'm going to do this by hand using a pair of scissors. And again, these side panels. What I could do if I wanted to is just use the trimmer and cut so far up the card and then stop, but I'm just as happy using scissors to cut the card. That's as easy as that gets. Just going to clear up the waste, get that out of the way. Then we need to cut out the notes slot cover. So all I'm going to do is just take the edges off. See if I can line it up perfectly. And take the edge off there. Just going to use my scissors just to cut along so I can then cut out the notes holders. I only need one of these for each card or card holder that I make. Just for ease, because I've got the trimmer out, I'm just trimming them out, just because it takes seconds to do this. It's a very fast job. Literally trim them out. Now depending on whether you use the landscape version or the portrait version is which note holder you will actually use. So the landscape one will use the longer one, the portrait one will use the squarer one. Now these do have dotted lines inside the main black cut lines. You don't want to stick inside the dotted line, so between the outside edge and the dotted lines is where you glue. That is all of our cutting done. It is now a case of simply scoring, folding and sticking together. So I'll get rid of our waste. Just cover my scissors. I'm going to bring the scoreboard in now. Use my mini scoreboard for this, it works perfectly. I'm just going to line up the lines and I'm going to score down the solid lines. Now what I have done on my scoreboard, I have coloured the centre line in black, so if I'm holding something on the scoreboard I can just line up the top and bottom edge of the line and know that it's scored properly, just because I can see the colour of the line underneath. And then just to make it easier for myself, I've covered on every full line, so either every 1 centimetre or every 1 inch line. I've then coloured that in full. I'm just burnishing my score lines just to make them nice and firm, and we'll just pop that out of the way. What I do need to do now, we have cut lines on here, and what I need to do is take my knife and I'm going to just take something to lean on to cut, so I don't actually cut through the surface. So I'm just going to take an old mouse mat for now. Normally I would cut this on a glass mat. What you can do is cut it on glass mat, cut it on your crafting mat, whichever you have easy. Just going to use a ruler and put the knife against the ruler and cut along the cut line. Do the same for the line above. You want to press reasonably hard on this, and you just want to make sure you have a cut line. We're just going to move that out of the way. And put the knife away over there. Now, because we're using the oblong one, we need to use the oblong one of those. What we're going to do is put tape all the way around the edge. That will then stick over the edge of the cut line, so when you tuck your cards in they won't fall through. So what we're going to do is magically put tape on that one. Here's one I did earlier. Going to remove the cover of the tape. So once we've removed the tape, I'm going to cover it, turn it over so the sticky side down. I'm just going to visually line that up so it's above the first cut. And I know my tape is 1/2 centimetre, so I've visually lined up 1/2 centimetre above the edge of the cut line. I've then put it equidistant either side of the card, and I've done that by eye. What we now do is fold in the sides, and we're going to either glue or tape them down. What I'm going to do is just pop a little bit of tape on all of the edges. There's one. And two. And the last one done. What we're now going to do is just remove the tape. So I'm just warming it up with my fingers. I'm pressing it down between my thumb and my finger, either side. What that does, it just warms up the tape a little bit, just to make it a fraction easier to get the cover of the tape off. So I'm just going to now press the corners down so that actually stuck the corners. Take the main tape off, holding it flat, pressing down along the score line, and I'm going up from the score line to the top. So it's pushing any air out or any bubbles out. Again, give it a nice firm press. What we now have is our card holder. All we're going to do is take our cards and pop them inside the card holder. Now, the other version is exactly the same, but the slots go upwards. What you can do, if you wanted to, if you make a selection of these, using a piece of ribbon, you can join them up by a piece of ribbon all the way up, making 2 or 3 and doing a ribbon loop at the top, and then you can actually hang them as a nice pretty decoration. But you've got the portrait one, which the cards go upwards, and the landscape one, and you do exactly the same for whether you cut in the portrait version or the landscape version. Thank you for watching. If you do have any questions or any answers even, or any concerns, please go to the Printable Craft Shop website for Crafting for Good. You can download all of these items, and you can also do a search feature for any queries or any questions. I've also done written instructions for these with photographs, so you can follow them through step by step, which will be on their website so you can see. There are a variety of different ones to purchase, so pick your favourite and go from there. Thank you for watching.